to Martin Grassinger. And I was really not prepared for this show. Anyway, thank you, Martin, for joining. And Martin, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of let us know who you are, what you're about?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a, how do you say in English? Naturopath. So I worked for decades with classical homeopathy. And it was the time when I had friends on the island of Ibiza. They were living there, and I visited them twice a year. And in one vacation, I was connected with Ra. So before the design system went out into the world, and immediately there was a connection because of my profession. He said he never even thought about that this system could be helpful in a specific sense to bodywork, therapy, all of that stuff. For him, it was only about, okay, people need a reading, especially from him, and then everything is fine. So, and we, in the very first years, we working very close together. He also came several times to Hamburg and work in my practice. And when he figured out something new, I figured out something new. We always just exchanged it, talked about, checked it, and and so it went further. And he very early he encouraged me. So we met in I think it was February 1992. He encouraged me to develop seminars about human design and health and to teach them. And the very first seminar I did in 1995 in English in Munich. And he was sitting amongst the students and making notes. And so it was very, very profound in a specific sense. And so for me, it was something very important because I was always looking for something to individualize my interaction with the client. And therefore, I worked with astrology. In my youth, I already studied the I Ching. It was just fascinating to me. And I was also teaching chakra system and so on. So I was familiar with all of these contents of the human design system. And therefore, it was, in a specific sense, it was easy. So, and then over the years now, over the decades, I just tried to figure out how to use it for my purpose. I'm a 4/6 emotional generator, and I have two definitions. So the 59/6 is the emotional bound between me and the client, and both of my sons are in 1858. So the judgment, this is about the facts, this is about what Ra told me. So he said, I have checked all these esoteric systems if it's of service to the collective, and I should do the same with the human design system, and then to teach it. And my main point was we know that every center has a relationship. It's not the representative, has a relationship to one gland of the hormonal system. And to me, it was obvious we have some more systems. We have cardiovascular system, digestive system, nervous system, muscular system, all of that stuff. And therefore just to look, okay, where they are located in a specific sense. So where can we have access to it? And because the heart is not the heart center is not the heart, it was easy to say no, but it was more important than to say, okay, what's the ego center about and where is the heart being organized? And the same as the splenic center in the beginning, it was very common that people said this is the immune system, has nothing to do with the immune system. And therefore it was necessary to say, okay, what's the splenic center all about? What's its task? What's doing? And how is the immune system working, and where's it's going? And so, and by this step by step, in a specific sense, I was forced to create these seminars and to teach them. And all these, also I have a different perspective to the planets. I don't take it in the way from astrology, because design system can tell us some more about the planets. And what I did with all of these before I was teaching, I checked it 2 or 3 years in my practice. So I didn't tell anybody, so just to say, okay, I want to verify it. And it was also my advantage in the beginning when I started with it. I couldn't tell the people, I couldn't do a reading in the very first year, in a sense. But I was painting the body graph for every client. So we didn't have a computer program to print out. We had to pay to paint and to look. And so it was a great thing of learning. Also to educate the view, only see the red parts, and then to look at the black parts. And I had the advantage, so that the people that came to me, and I looked at their chart, and they were telling me for an hour what's going on, what's their problem, and all of that stuff. And so over the months, over the years, in a specific sense, so I learned to see connections on. Even up to date, it's more than when I look at the body graph with a specific problem, topic, or whatsoever in my head, it's always that something out of the body graph looks at me. And that's always the point. So that's the way how it works. So I don't question it, because it works, and that's fine. So, and yeah, and that's what I really love to do. And I'm going step for step further. So last year, for the first time, I did a seminar about self-reflected consciousness. We know that we are the only life form endowed with self-reflected consciousness. Ra never did a seminar about it. And I thought, okay, now it's the time to do so. How is it working? What does it mean for us as human beings? And then to see, for example, as a part of it, that the Ajna Center and the solar plex system, these two centers, this is the cause why we have self-reflected consciousness. All the other life forms doesn't have, because they don't have these two centers. And these two centers, even in our brain, in the background, they always work together, no matter how your chart looks like. And that's something, to me, what's important to understand. And this is also something in a specific sense that changed my way of doing readings, more to be focused on what does self-reflected consciousness mean for this person in terms of Ajna Center, solar plex system. In the background, the mechanic that it's always working together. Yeah, an example, very simple. If you have a bad feeling, you cannot have a good thought. And if you have a bad thought, you cannot have a good feeling. Yeah, you see, it's no matter how the chart looks like, it's always working together. That's how it's connected in the brain. And then in front of this background, then to see in the body graph, okay, what's the point for this person? What's helpful? Because it's always there, it's reliable, all of that stuff. So, and therefore it was, in a specific sense, in two ways, developing all these seminars was teaching me something, and then teaching the seminars and to verify it with the students, to have the practical parts and so on, was also teaching something for me. And so until today, I'm learning. That's so for me, this system it's absolutely endless. So there's everything in, and right from the start, when I look back, because I was interested in the I Ching in my youth already, so I was interested how the world is working and how life is working, how we are functioning, all of that stuff. So, and there are so many areas I want to know. So therefore I go on. So that's me. In private, now I have a grandchild, is going to school since last week. It's it's an adventure for all of us. So I'm a musician. I worked a long time at the theater. I have many different biographies. So, but here it's about human design, and that's the core.
Fascinating. You're fascinating. Well, there's a lot of questions that everyone has for you. I was trying to decide if we should do online first or in person first, because there's like 6 people here. But we do have a question that's here in person, and then maybe we can lead it to online, whoever. So if anybody has a question, just pop it in the chat for Martin, and then I'm going to hand this over to Rachel because she has a question. Hi there.
Hello.
So I'm curious about if you've done much studying with codons and the amino acids and how when we're being bombarded with the different codons, and how does that affect the body?
Yeah, basically it's very seductive. We cannot say anything about amino acids and all of that stuff. That's not possible, because therefore we should do studies of thousands of people. We need the computer program. We need a laboratory who has the technique to check it, and then to see if it works, and then hopefully that we are able to see something. So the reason why I did this seminar very early as well about the amino acid was just to widen the horizon and to see that on the biochemical level in the background, every hexagram has a relationship, a biochemical relationship, to another hexagram in a different circuit, in a different center, and so on. And therefore to come to a deeper understanding, to see there is a connection. Because when we remain in the circuits, for example, even the flow of life is not something that follows the circuits. Yeah, when the basic life rhythm and cycle is that the energy format 5342 moves directly to the 515. Yeah, so we have the cycle of fixed rhythm. That's life. It's the same with the mind. The 6447 moves directly down to the 1762, because there's the opinion and there we have the words. And it comes from we try to make sense out of it. Yeah, this is something before we were able to talk and building words and to understand that's the mechanism. To understand the world, to try to make sense out of it. And so there are many things within the body graph to see that it's very helpful when we step out of this. Because when you, for example, you look at the understanding circuit is a collection of gates which obey the same energy format, period. But that's not the way life is working. When you look at the single cell, yeah, they have 515, and the receptor hexagram is the gate 3. Yeah, the 3 goes also in the 515. So, and then from the circuit, the 9th gate to the 5. So all the 3 energy formats has a relationship to 515. That's obvious, it has to. Otherwise it wouldn't work. And so, and therefore, the amino acids, the relationship of gates to each other on the biochemical background is something that gives us a deeper understanding how things are working.
Beautiful. So there's a few questions in the chat, if you can see those, Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Lauren says, we've done some interesting experimenting with that biological testing. So I don't know if you want to talk more about that, Lauren, or.
Yeah, if someone is open to it, I'm not. So that's great to do so. Yes, therefore everybody has a different perspective. That's obvious. The immune system associated with the spleen. In a specific sense, the spleen, the splenic center is not even the spleen, because when you look at the task of the spleen and you see the chemistry, the basic meaning of the splenic center is what Ra was telling in the beginning. It's the washing machine. It has to keep the body clean. When you look at the amino acids, we have three amino acids there. And all of these three amino acids, one has to deal with sugar, and two of them, so 5 gates, they have to deal with cleansing. It's a checkpoint. And it has a deep relationship because the cauldron is the skull, has a deep relationship to the brain and the blood-brain barrier. Because if substances move over the blood-brain barrier, we have problems. Imagine you have eaten something, and maybe it wasn't that fine, and it was too much. So this is what I experience in seminars. So 2 hours after lunch, everybody goes, ugh. They're just dizzy. That's the splenic center has to do the work. It has to be washed out. So that's the major part. Because just look from a logical point of view, the splenic center is not a motor. It cannot create anything. Yeah, cell creation comes out of the sacral, giving birth to new things in connection with the root center. So it cannot move anything. It's not a motor. It cannot manifest anything. It's not the throat. It's just physical awareness in the now. Yeah, therefore we have these 3 awareness center. It is well-being. Yeah, you can, maybe you are not in the state of well-being, but in terms of the immune system, viruses, bacteria, germs, and all of that stuff, you don't have a problem, but you are not in the well-being. And therefore, the immune system needs the power, needs the cell, needs the capacity to manifest something. Yet, just one example, the basic channel of the immune system is 5125. The capacity of the body to compete with substances which don't belong to the body, even by being shocked by the bacteria, by the virus, and so on. That's one of the reasons I talked with Ra about it. That's one of the reasons why he survived. A very strong immune system. Okay.
Yeah, there's one more question about the background frequency that's changing in 2027. How will it affect our bodies, and how can we best support our bodies to have ease?
What Ra said with 2027, if you want to know how it will be, you have to come back. Yeah, so the change is something, because we are in physical, the change is something that it's in the genetics. And we know that the solar plex mutation has 4 stages, and every stage requires a different genetic imprint for the next step. And then you have the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. So it needs time to be fulfilled. It's not about in February 27, my body is different, the world is different. So that's sorry, it's nonsense. Yeah, so because we are already on the way. We are just moving through the door, and then we will see what will come. But first of all, we need the breakdown of the system. And as long as the breakdown isn't there, nothing new will come. This is why people, they fear of change. And we look at the transits, it needs a mutation. And the mutation will be there when we, on the other side of the point of no return. And we are not on the other side of the point of no return. Everybody tries to avoid it, which makes it stronger and helps it so that it will happen. Of course, that's great. But we will come to the point where it's impossible to get back. And if that's not the case, the mutation isn't there. And even if this is something that takes time, different babies are born with different genetics and so on. It will come unavoidably. And then we have these two worlds in a specific sense. And on the other hand, nobody can predict the future. Let's see what effect it will have to our bodies. I don't know. Because the body graph, even after the solar plex mutation, the body graph will be the same. It's just that different hexagrams, they don't belong, for example, 63, 64. So the 63 will belong to the sensing circuit. So this is something, but this is something in the brain. Yeah, so the bridge will be different. And this is not something, okay, in February 2027, it's there, it's genetically, and it will come. I'm looking forward to it. Autoimmune diagnostic.
Yeah, Moniz has an awesome question. Moniz, do you want to ask him?
Sure. So I read an article that you wrote a while ago. I was just trying to find it so I could maybe help you know what I was looking at. But I felt that it applied to my situation, which I'm a 3/5 emotional manifester. And 2 years ago, I started having symptoms that ended up being diagnosed as cold agglutinin disease, where if I'm outside in the cold, my red blood cells clump up and then some of them die. And then when I go into the warm, it goes away and it's fine. But when these things started happening, I went to see a lot of different doctors. And then through testing, they also said that they diagnosed me with like a very low grade B-cell lymphoma. And my design son is 26/5. And I don't know if it matters or not, but my partner's design son is a 44/4. He and I've been together for 12 years now. And these things just started happening 2 years ago. And I've also been learning about the association of these gates with B cell and T cell. So I don't have much of a background in biology or science, but I thought that some of the comments that you shared in the article were really interesting. And I'm trying to contemplate what that might mean for me and what my body is trying to tell me.
Yeah, basically I step a little bit back from this B cells and T cells because I was just thinking about, okay, first of all, where are the other cells? Because we have more cells in the body, different cells than 64 gates. So therefore it doesn't make sense just to say this is this is there. The other problem we have, okay, if you have someone with a 44, for example, what are we telling these people in the reading? You have too much B cells, less B cells, good B cells, bad B cells, also because we are not able to say anything about it. Therefore, I took it out. So I never talk it in this way. And when I wrote this, it was and Ra took it from me. It was because the 44 is in birds, reptiles, and fish, and the B cells, they are called B cells because they were discovered in birds first, and and there was another relationship to it why they're called B cells. And it was very seductive to say this. And it was also that we were talking about the heart center. It's the heart. By the way, the thymus gland has nothing to do with the heart. Yeah, it's where it's located. The same as the parakidneys had nothing to do with the kidneys. They are just close to the kidneys, but it's something completely different. And therefore, I'm very, very cautious. And unfortunately, I cannot delete it. I cannot take it out. I'm just very happy that in the beginning, when we just thought a lot of things, this is this, this is this, that there's no written material, there's nothing. So we were really free just to see, okay, how is it, how it works. So I would be very cautious because you have an autoaggressive disease. Yeah, and then you have the character of it. So it's an overreaction on one part of the immune system. So what's missing is the balance. Yeah, and we can have, when you have, for example, you have burnout whatsoever, so it's just too low. And in your case, one part is too high. Yeah, there's something that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's autoaggressive. And the autoaggression never, never, ever lies in the 44 of 26. Yeah, autoaggression, so which is an aggression against yourself. So from the psychological level, maybe feeling offended, and therefore I need more of them. So there are a lot of possibilities. That's the point when I look at the entire chart, because I see the chart as the matrix of the brain. Yeah. So, for example, if you have split definition, you can make a scan of the brain, and you have also two areas in synchronicity at the same time firing. That's the same in the chart. Yeah, because there's not a hierarchy. So one definition is waiting and giving the other first, and so it's always constantly there. And therefore, to see a lot of things that's going on in the mind derives from the root center, not from the ajna center. When you look at the chemistry, we have 6 gates in the ajna center, and every single gate of the ajna center has, on the biochemical level, a relationship to many other gates in the body graph. And I don't have it here now, but I use it in the seminar as well as with self-reflected consciousness. The mind, in its biochemical character, is an emotional manifesting generator. That's the mind. Yeah. Then you can see, okay, the ajna center, okay, the ajna center describes a little bit how you use the mind when you are thinking. But the mind is much more. Yeah, as I mentioned, for example, you have a bad thought, you cannot have a good feeling. Yeah, it's always connected. It's always connected. So it's very complex, and of course very fascinating as well. So therefore, I'm very, very cautious with these labels, putting labels on it, because life is dynamic. And so it's a little bit risky to, in this sense, to put labels on it.
That makes sense. Thank you. And as a manifester, I didn't learn that I was a manifester until like 2 years ago, and I'm 50, and I worked as a generator for most of my life. So I'm still recovering from that.
Yeah.
But the symptoms didn't start happening until I started the recovery, which I thought was odd, but.
Yeah, the recovery could be in the first time that it's going worse. Yeah, because when you clean the room, after a while you ask yourself why you have started, because there's so much dirt and here and there and so on. So that's just the process. Yeah, we have to move through. And the basic law of healing is no healing without reaction. So if
Okay,
there's
thank you
no,
very much.
yeah, no, of course. And that's another topic. Who's interested in treatment according to your design? I was for 14 years, I got in contact. The same, I was got in contact with Ra just by another person. It was my next step. I find a possibility to cure and to heal in the spirit of the individuality as it's written down in your chart in a natural way. So that's possible. And it even cured a lot of my problems, which I didn't had access to. It wasn't able. So if you are interested in more material information, so just send me an email. By the way, my email is contact@martin-grassinger.com.
Okay, thank you.
On contact. Okay, self-reflected
We
conscious.
do have one question here, if you don't mind, like in the room, and then we'll go back to the online questions.
Yeah.
Hi, Martin. I'm Katie Wise. One of my question is about the children that were born in 2005. I was listening to the lecture that Ra gave about the witness in the genetic imperative, I think it is, and they're the generation that are the first that will be potential parents of the children with the mutation.
Mhm.
I have two children, born in 2004, one in 2006, and I believe the one in 2006 is, well, they've been impacted in their reproductive challenges. So I guess my question is, do you have a recommendation, or have you worked with children at this age to help support them to have a healthy reproductive system, aside of using SNA? But have you seen what is going on with them genetically, and any advice?
Yeah, I see it in my grandchild. So she's 7 years now, and she's very fast, creative, talented. So to me, what education is all about, give them the shelter for their development. That's the only thing. And then we will see and we will experience what comes out. Yeah, because I don't know, and therefore I don't want to give a kind of a narrowness, maybe, because I think this is right, this should be. So to me,
I realize it's very unique to each individual too, what they would probably need.
yeah.
Okay.
Also time and space with themselves, for themselves, the capacity to move, just to run, to something with sport, something with music, contemplation, and to see what's necessary. Because there is one child, it needs, okay, just doing sports to get in contact with the possibility of the body movement. And others, they are just, no, it's about interests in the world. So I'm just goosebumps. You know this song, "The Wonderful World," what a wonderful world. And there is this part, I see babies cry, I watch them grow, they learn ever more than I ever know. And this is what I experience, and I like it. I like it. She knows more than me. And I really love to ask her, because there are things I don't know, and she comes up with it. And she said, "Hey, you don't know it?" I said, "No, I don't know it. That's why I'm asking you." So, and there to see, okay, what's her interest, and he has a great interest in nature, everything that belongs to nature, and he knows things and names of animals and all of that stuff. And all the dinosaurs, yeah, in detail, every name. So and therefore interested in the history of planet Earth. All of these, they were before, they're after, and so and I think it was the same with my daughter. It was just to give the space and the shelter so that she has the chance to develop. Yeah, and because she is a 3-6, I very early I said to her, okay, until you are 29, you can do what you want, and I give you the money. Tell me what you want, and then okay, go ahead. And she did. So but I think this is because every generation is different. Every generation is new. Otherwise, there would be no development on planet Earth. So therefore, the only thing we can do is just, okay, give the space and give the shelter. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Martin. That was so sweet. We were crying over here. Victoria asks about self-reflected consciousness.
Yeah.
Little-
It's not about the 3 awareness center, because self-reflected consciousness belongs to ajna and solar plex. Yeah, because we have these 2 in addition. We have the equipment, and other life forms, they don't have it. The passenger consciousness basically goes about the feelings. Yeah, for just to make it short, if you have a bad thought, you will have a bad feeling. If you try to concentrate on good thoughts, it will be hard, and it doesn't change your feeling. So therefore, don't worry, be happy. Just really to say, okay, what's your feelings? Do something that you feel better. Drink some, there are 2 drinks, breathing and drinking. That's my recommendation to work with the solar plex system. Because in this situation with the bad thought, you have, it's the diaphragm isn't moving anymore. You don't have the move there. So, and therefore, breathing, be concentrated on breathing, nothing else, breathe. Yeah, look down. So when the eyes goes down, you're connected with, and then be concentrated on slowly but surely for 5 minutes, only breathing. Open the window, fresh air is the best. And the other trick is just drink something very cold or very hot. It has to have a difference to your body temperature. When you drink, you feel yourself because it's too cold or it's too hot. The other thing is, after you have swallowed the water, automatically you will take a deep breath, automatically. And this is something that maybe brings your diaphragm again into a kind of movement because you were stuck. Yeah, so on the physiology. And so just some simple tricks. And if you are in the better, I like to make it a little bit funny. So when you are in an absolutely good mood and life is beautiful, just try to have a bad thought. It's very hard to have a bad thought. And therefore, it's about our feelings. We are here to discover our emotionality as a basic to deal, first of all, with ourselves. Second, on this basis, dealing with other people. And this is where self-reflected consciousness starts. How do I feel? Yeah, when my work with it, take the 49. Just what are you rejecting about yourself? Write down. Self-reflected consciousness. What you don't like, what you reject. 55. Are you honest with yourself? Always. Write down in which areas you are not honest with yourself and authentic. It's every time emotionally. 30th gate. What are you not accepting in terms of your fate? It's emotional. And then you can move through the gates and to work with it. And there to reflect on, how do I feel when I reject myself? How do I feel when I'm not honest with myself? How do I feel when I don't accept something that belongs to my fate? That's a feeling. And you can have an empty solar plex system. It's the same. If it's empty, it just tells you, okay, it's nothing specific in there. You're open to everything. But it's there. It's the way we are functioning.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, essentially, you're suggesting any practice that would bring you into feeling through the solar plexus and approaching it through that lens.
Yeah, to be focused on it, because this is dictating the quality of your thinking. Yeah, if you were rejected in childhood, that's the deepest pain we all have, the 49. Yeah, so, and again, we were not rejected. We felt being rejected. That's the difference. Yeah, you can feel being rejected without being rejected. And this is also self-reflected consciousness.
Yeah. What about, do you feel like it goes the other way though? That if, let's say, the body is under distress, that affects the thoughts and the feeling? Like, how would you approach?
I didn't get it acoustically. It's one more time.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on going the other direction? So if the body is under distress, like, nutritionally dehydrated or whatever, and it's affecting the thoughts, is there like kind of the flip side of what you just read?
Sorry, again, acoustically, it doesn't come through. Maybe can somebody else repeat it? So maybe it's my acoustic here.
Hold on. Say it. I don't understand what she was saying either. Rachel seemed to know. Hold on, Katie can interpret.
I think what she's asking is there a flip side? So you're saying if you feel good in the body, you can't have a bad thought, and vice versa. So what if you were feeling bad in the body because of a lack of nutrition or dehydration? Is it possible?
Yeah, then we come to the splenic center if it's just physical, because the splenic center is about physical. Yeah, and there is something, I'm not in the state of overall well-being in the now. I can also reflect on it. And that's it. When we talk about the digestive system, all the three streams moving through the solar plex system belong to the digestive system, the entire ego circuit, and these three streams and some more. And so you can see that, first of all, give you an example. When my daughter went to school and there was this situation, I said to her, when I'm in a bad mood and you recognize I'm in a bad mood and I don't recognize it, so just ask me, when was the last time I have eaten something? And very often that was the reason. I said, thank you, okay. And it's not about a menu. It's just to keep my body busy because of my design in terms of the digestive system. So, and this is something helpful. And 5 minutes later, I'm in a very good mood. And we know this, maybe you are in the mood to eat something and then something happens and just it crashes your mood and you don't want to eat anything. from one second to the other. These are the mechanics, how they are functioning basically within us. And that's also when you look at so that people maybe, because their life doesn't make sense to them, because it's not fulfilling, and then they start to fill themselves up with eating. Because when I eat, I feel myself. There are so many mechanics, yeah, and therefore sometimes there are specific gates, they are blamed for digestive disorders and so on. Please forget about. There's a lot which can be the source of it. We are all different, and the digestive system in everybody works different. So speak on PHS versus your non-human body. PHS, it was of my basic struggles with Ra, but how to win against an ego manifesto. Because of the name, he came up with primary health system. I said, Ra, that's wrong. The primary health system is the immune system. And he didn't want to change it because he figured out something related to health, and it was the primary he figured out. And therefore it's a personal nutrition strategy in a specific sense. But it's not the immune system, had nothing to do with it. And the primary health system is the immune system. You can have a strong immune system and eat a lot of stuff, and it's not a problem. And what I experienced, I was traveling around the globe to give seminars and to teach, was people, they obey precisely their PHS strategy. But they have diabetes, and they have the rheumatic disease, and they have high blood pressures, and they have allergies and all of that stuff. It has nothing to do with it. It's very helpful, mostly to the sensory system underneath. And we can just pull a lot of things out of it, and therefore I love it. But that's something we have to, in a sense, to see difference. To the benefits of the presence of plants. Yes, in the immune system. When you look at the matrix of the plants, it's the other way around. Yeah, you have the body graph of the plants. So the sacral center is above, and then the G center is below. This is when you look at plants, and to work with plants and healing, in a sense, that the roots of the plants, they are very good for our area of the mind. And the leaves are very good for the body. You see exactly how it works. So I love it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's most of the questions. Does anyone else have questions here or online?
My Aries can be stubborn. Now I know. Yeah. Yeah, also the founder of classical homeopathy is one day after Ra, Samuel Hahnemann, and he was the same. And I see the purpose of it because it's so important, and this is, it was his task, just to smash it into the world like a stone, without any compromise. Because he was sure, he told me, there will be a lot of people coming, trying to make nonsense out of it. And we see it today in the internet, what's going on in some areas there, and so on. But it has to have a foundation. It has to have a clearness. And this was his task. So we had our fights, so I could tell stories. So
I just had a comment and sort of maybe inquiry on whether you agree in a sense. So, because I'm splenic So to kind of touch on what Victoria was asking, and how you went into the fear gates and the spleen, and that's kind of how I see it's the head ajna awareness of when I am sensing fear, and whether that's fear of the future or fear of authority or fear of inadequacy, or or these gates that I have. And it is a part of the self-reflection that I do of sensing, okay, is this fear actually real? Or
Yeah. Basically, the splenic center, the fear is to make us more intelligent to work with ourselves and the body. It's the intelligence of the body. So the fear of inadequacy, which is something in the beginning, therefore the 48 and the 36 are the same. There's also the 36, the inadequacy in terms of dealing with crisis. So that's natural in the beginning. But when you look down, you have the 18th gate with the 48. So it's always the problem with authorities. And okay, our parents, the first one, the teachers, the second one, and so on. So, and then to go ahead, and unavoidably, there is the time when you will be the authority and other people will be the inadequate. The same with the 36th and the 30th gate. So crisis is something that belongs to our fate. Otherwise, we don't have progress. The 35 is only, that's the price we have to pay. So we have to move through. And therefore, Ra once he said, we could name the 36 also the gate of hope. Because in the deepest crisis, in the deepest darkening of the light, the hope is the greatest. And so why not to see it as the gate of hope? But in order to get in contact with hope, you need a situation where hope is needed. So that's, therefore, the world is very tricky. So,
yeah, I've got that 36 too in my design moon, so I get that. Thank you.
yeah, and the 57 is the fear of the next moment. We always call it the future or tomorrow or whatsoever. That's not the case. The splenic center is the now, and the future for the now is the next now, nothing more, not
Yes.
tomorrow. So, and this is what Ra was saying. Okay, if you are only in the here and now, there's no fear about, because there's nothing else. It's only here and now. Nothing is available. So, and with the 44, his assumption was, because this is extinction, that there maybe something comes from the time of the dinosaurs, that they'll get extinct, that there's something inside of us. When I start the seminar with self-reflected consciousness, I start the development of the centers after conception. Yeah, you have the first thing what comes is the ego circuit. 2644. The 44, it's the very first gate 2 weeks after the conception. The very first gate of the splenic center. So the physical well-being, the awareness of possible extinction is something that's physical there. That's the intelligence of the body. We were born with it. And the next gate is the 32. The next gate is the 54. You see, the development comes from above. Yeah, the ego center is just building this stream of instinct. And this instinct is guaranteeing our survival. That's not mental. That's chemistry inside of it. And the problem we have, we live it out the other way around. With the 54, just going ahead. That's not the way it was built. And then after the 54 come the 19th gate, then come the 49. Yeah, 1 month after conception, already the 49. So the 44 is the very first gate of the splenic center. The 49 is the very first gate of the solar plex system. And then there is the chance, in a specific sense, with the 49 you have, that the feeling you have of feeling being rejected has nothing to do with this incarnation. That's so important. Yeah, because it comes 1 month after conception. And the body is built, it's design side. And design is something that comes out of the earth. Somebody died back into the earth, so that it's possible to come back. And therefore, that's the possibility that comes from, has nothing to do with this incarnation. But you have a life where you have to deal with the possibility feeling rejected. And the other way around, the 49 can be rejective without being aware of it. That's not a one-way street. And then to see that's the way how we can relate to it and to deal with it. And of course, it has to deal with pain. 49 is the deepest pain you can imagine. And what it needs most is a big hug as often as possible. And most 49, they are very, okay, it's enough, not too much, not too long. So, but the only way to melt it away, the pain which is there, to try to hold being hugged. Because then you have two information. You feel rejected and you experience the opposite. That's something the 49 doesn't want to have, these two parts. And now you can make a decision, continue feeling rejected or just have a new experience that you can deal with it. And then you, that's the healing. The healing is physical. Skin, touch. I get lost somewhere. I don't know. The channels below, sacral, sugar, protein, fat. That's much more. It's not about only the energy formats. That's really everything that goes to the left and to the right and to above as well. So that's a mixture of it to hope. I'm not that field the next
But Martin, would you go through in terms of circuitry, which one's associated with sugar, which one's associated with fat, and which one's associated with protein?
Again, it's not something that's isolated. The only thing that's isolated is because carbohydrates are outside as well. When we talk about sugar in the sense of pure sugar, and I call it the blood sugar level. Yeah, the blood sugar level, precisely. That's something that belongs to the knowing circuit. Yeah, because here we have more definitions. It's combining everything there. And if we are busy with knowing, maybe you're in the seminar, yeah, you are concentrated and being in the now, and it's about knowing and wisdom and all of that stuff. So then your body needs more sugar, which means it needs more energy to deal in your brain with the now. It's also something that moved through the eyes. And when you when you experience, it's hard to keep the eyes open. All of a sudden there's something, it goes a little bit down. That's the blood sugar level. And then the body needs some sweets, obviously. And therefore, very often you need some sweets when people are around, but not when you are alone. Then everything is fine. Yeah, that's very extreme. So, but then it depends on the body graph. Open gates, open centers, so it's not that with the labels. It's a tendency, of course, just to make it short, with 52 and 9, with this energy format, this is a body that needs meat. That's the case, even if people don't like it. So, and I always say it's not you need meat. I say your body needs meat. That's a completely different. We are not our body. So and the body can compensate over decades, but when it comes to decompensation, and I see more and more these cases, that's not a funny situation. And basically, we cannot say anything about the frequency. Yeah, maybe for some person is every second day I need it, and if I do so, I'm very well, and it's great. And another person maybe would say, okay, every 2 months, there's something. Yes, I do so. Yeah, we don't know anything about the frequency, and my recommendation in addition is always just look at your blood type diet. Then you have the answer. If it's meat, what kind of meat? And so blood type A is more vegetarian. Blood type O is in any case a carnivore. Again, but we cannot say anything about the frequency. It's just like it is.
There's a question that's related to this that you just said, and then we can get back to Jay's question, or two questions related to the 959. So someone on the iPhone says, for someone with a 952, are they able to digest meat alone or without the presence of the 4037?
It's from my experience and my perspective, it's absolutely independent. Because I would look at the PHS. Yeah, for me, I have the same as Ra. So when there was a seminar, we liked it because we have the same PHS, and we just moved away, and we were eating and not talking and nothing. So we need absolutely silence, no distraction, and so on. Now imagine there's someone who needs silence and no distraction with 3740. That's the worst this person can do to eat in community. Because the 3740 has a lot to do with small intestines, for example, according to the digestive system. And so, therefore, I never look at all of these things in an isolated way. It has to be something that makes sense in the context. And we are different. And the risky words are only, and this, so it's really, for me, it's too narrow. And life isn't that narrow. And that's my experience working with clients.
Keep it open. Okay. Then there's one more question from Jay. Something about any thoughts on changes to the body from the new mRNA vaccinations, like inflammation, spike protein production within the body, etc.
Yeah, that's a complete different topic. Of course it changes. It's a personal decision. Everybody has to make on its own. It's based on security. Yeah, the decision always is based on security, no matter what we have to decide. So because the deepest fear we have is to make the wrong decision. And therefore what we need is security. And for security, we need information. And what we didn't get was the information for this vaccination. So, okay, it's my thing. I never in my life was vaccinated. I hate it. I never will do it. And so that's my perspective. But if there's someone just, okay, I feel secure, even when mothers came, okay, my child has to be vaccinated against measles, so whatsoever. And I said, I'm not sure if your child has to vaccinate it against the measles. To me, it's more obvious the child has been vaccinated against your fear about the measles. That's the difference. So it's nothing to do with the measles. It's about you feel secure when the child is vaccinated. So please distinguish these two things. But if you only feel secure because of this vaccination, then it has to be done. But it's important for the child that the mother has security. With permanent insecurity, so that's the bad vibration. But therefore to see, okay, what is the goal of it? what's the purpose? Why you are doing it? So, and friends of mine, they are doctors, they have the same perspective, and they say, okay, COVID, this is something we know since decades. And the symptoms were like a very severe flu, in a sense. And even then, people died. It always happens. So, and there's no vaccination against death. And when we look, I have learned in my life always to if the government or whatsoever is telling this, my first question is, who wants me to believe this is right? I want to know who wants to believe me this is right. And then why? And the next question is, where's the money going? And then you have the answer. And therefore it was obvious to me, no, that's not my business. But everybody has to, yeah, what we experience, what I know from doctors is that heart diseases are coming, people are dying. Just see, we have, it's not because of the vaccination, of course not. We have a new syndrome, and the syndrome is called the sudden adult death syndrome. Yeah, because the sports people, they just drop dead. So that's the sudden adult death syndrome. And it was the first time I was thinking about, because we have also this, I hope it's the right translation, the sudden death in children, in babies. Yeah, that's something common in literature, everything. Have we ever thought maybe it's a consequence of the vaccination of the baby, the sudden death of the baby? Never thought about it. But this situation, this name, it really makes, I think about. And good luck, I'm not vaccinated. I had all of these diseases. My daughter had all of these diseases. It's the best immunity you can have. So, yeah. I did best as carnivore, even with no. Yeah, it's not only the 52 in the 9th gate. There's some more. And on the other hand, even if everything is open and you have blood type O, you need meat. Not you, your body needs meat. I'm very cautious because I don't want to offend a vegetarian whatsoever, because what they have in their mental system about this, I can say 100% yes, you're absolutely right. The way we treat animals, all of this and so on, absolutely yes. But I look at the body. So, and therefore, yeah, for example, maybe everything is open and you are blood type O. So that maybe your chart, according to the body, looks like a vegetarian as well. But the blood type O says, oh, there's something. By the way, if the chart looks like a vegetarian, it doesn't mean you are not allowed to eat meat. Yeah, if it tastes well, if it's good for you, if you like it, all of that stuff, go ahead. The body makes the decision.
So you're saying meat protein, we can't do like vegetarian protein, or like, could it, if you are a vegetarian, could you have like maybe once a week meat, or is there like, what do you recommend?
A friend of mine, he's very extreme. For him, it's twice a year that he has the feeling in his body. So now it's time again. And it came to it, it wasn't a vacation. He was in Indonesia in a vacation, and he lived as a vegetarian for 5 years. And what he didn't experience was he was getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. And this is something that comes over the years. And then he moves and was in Indonesia, and he went close to a restaurant, and there was this, oh, it smells so nice. And it was meat. And he just followed the body. And he was eating it, and he said immediately it changed his vitality, its energy. It was completely different. And so it was for him, he stopped being a rigid vegetarian. And so it's okay, when it will come the next time, I just will do so. And for him, it's something about twice a year. And another friend of mine, he has blood type O as well. And in the chart, it's very strong. So yeah, he likes it mostly every day. And he is much older and very healthy. So the body has its own concept. That's why the voice said, okay, the mind is not the authority. The voice said, this system is oriented towards the mind. And because the tools of the mind are the eyes, therefore I give you a graph. Because then you can see. And hopefully, if you see, if you look, you have a better understanding how to deal with your body. And then to give the authority to your body. And follow what's there. And then there's a chance that you have a better life. So the understanding is not about understand the diet structure of a newspaper or someone else, just is to understand how am I structured, how am I functioning. And again, the understanding circuit is not about to know it better. It's to figure out together, because it's a collective circuit, what's the best for us. And even this is something that changed, because today we have a specific amount of knowledge. It will be different next year and next year and next year, so that we have the chance to have a deeper understanding, precise understanding. And maybe come to the point like me with the B cells, T cells. And so today I have a better understanding. I would never repeat it. And unfortunately, it's out in the world, okay? But even if it's out in the world, what to say? With the 44, okay. You have enough B cells, less B cells, good B cells, bad B cells. They work, they don't work, they make mistakes. So I don't know. Go to the laboratory, check it, then you know.
Well, I have one last question. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions, but my question is, I have an undefined spleen. And so defined spleen versus undefined spleen. I've heard that the defined spleen, it's okay to take like actual medications from doctors, and undefined spleen is more better for homeopath medicines, and doesn't matter. Okay.
No, forget about it. That's the very first seminar I did in 1995 was the relationship of the circuits to all the topics in terms of health. So the therapy, the therapist, the disease, healing, the interaction between client and patient, application, medication, all of this, everything is written in there. And so first of all, in terms of the splenic center, you have to choose something that gives you security. We know that security and well-being, these are, how you call it, Siamesische Zwillinge, or Siamese twins. Yeah, so you have to find something as a therapeutic application in a specific sense where you feel secure and you are in the state of well-being. And then the interaction between you as a client and the therapist is regulated in the 59.6. To choose the right therapist is 59.6. Has nothing to do with the mind, because it's an intimate process. both sides has to be open and to give, both sides has to be open and to receive. If this is something that works, it's fertile. And therefore the decision is there. And it has a relationship to the splenic center. Why? Because the 50th gate is a lawgiver, and the lawgiver is dictating the 6th gate, okay, open or close. That's the impact it has in this circuit. And so, therefore, if you are feeling insecure, it's obvious then that the interaction with the therapist in this way cannot be fruitful, because this insecurity doesn't work. And because of this insecurity, you are not in the state of overall well-being. And therefore, the splenics that can be open can be defined. Then the character of well-being will be different, of course. But basically, again, it's an emotional decision. Yeah, because when you look at the way how the brain is working, our decisions, we make our decisions, the basic decisions, we make with the amygdala, which is deep in the brain. And it makes decision based on emotions, not on facts, on emotions. Because the emotions, they have their, emotions are stretched out in time. Yeah, the mind is like an ant. Yeah, can always go, oh yeah, oh that's fine, oh that's fine, that's right, that's wrong, oh no, that's wrong, that's right, whatsoever, always. This is the polarity. The body doesn't have polarity. The body is very clear. And so therefore, of course, the basic word for the splenic center is atmosphere. Yeah, we have an inner atmosphere and we have an outer atmosphere. Example, maybe your inner atmosphere isn't the best and you are out, and then you are going home and you have your furniture, you have your pictures on the wall, you have the colors, all of so the outer atmosphere helps you that your inner atmosphere comes back, this adaptation, then it's fine. So what the splenic center is doing in every second of in our existence is managing adaptation. Yep. Maybe you are in your well-being atmosphere, inside everything is fine, and the cell phone is ringing. So what happens? It's disturbing your well-being. There's immediately this, oh, what's that? This is one information, you doesn't get it twice. And to say no. It can be the other way around. Maybe you are in the well-being atmosphere, but inside you don't have the well-being atmosphere because there's something going on, emotional whatsoever. And then all of a sudden the cell phone is ringing. That's nice, because it's disturbing you're not being well. And then you say, oh yeah, that's great. Interruption is always great. And it's also the tricky on this side, as I mentioned with the emotional system, on this side, on the splenic side, is just, if it doesn't work at home, don't stay at home. Take your jacket, go out. Give you the chance to come back in a different vibration than you left home. That's the only thing. So this is something we can work with, we can deal with. That's also maybe then, I live close to the coast, and there's the river, and there's the place I love most is just close to the water. and see the ships going by and having a coffee, and so yeah. And I know where to go when in this room. I love it. It's nice, fine, everything. When I just experience, I need a change of atmosphere. I can change it here with music, what I do, but there are situations it even didn't work with music. I have to move myself. And then again, being emotional, okay, breathing, fresh air. So for me, just to say, I should do sometimes what I recommend to other people. So.
Relatable. Well, yeah, I think this has been a beautiful, very eye-opening conversation for everybody here and everybody online. And Brian, yeah, there's a group of people here. Everybody's super happy and excited to see you. And so thank you. I mean, it's if anyone else has any other questions, Mark, do you want to say hi?
No, just hi. Thank you.
Okay, that's Mark Germain. He says hi, and everyone says thank you, and all the little comments in there on the online, everyone's just in love. And we all decided here that many of the things that you said today should be like on t-shirts and stuff, like so yeah, expect some Martin Grassinger clothing line soon. So but yeah, thank you, Martin, and I'll shoot you over the recording soon.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure. I like this. So just as a generator, just being asked, that's the best.
Well, you have amazing responses when you get questions. So I hope we get to do this again with you, because that was fantastic.
Yeah, I have an open throat, and I only have the 45 and the 56. And so I should only talk if I can give stimulation with what I have to give. And so therefore, that's the way to do it. And that's the best also for other people to have access to it.
Well, thank you so much, Martin. From my heart and everyone's heart here to yours, across the sea.
Very welcome. It was great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice time there. Yeah.
You too. Yeah. Have a great day. And we're having a great time. Okay. Bye.